All right. So have you ever wished for like a fairy grandmother?
Yeah.
To like poof, sprinkle some magic dust on those dreams you've got?
Uh-huh. Who hasn't?
Well, today's deep dive might just make you a believer. We're heading to Manila to meet Maria. She's a baker, and, well, her aspirations, they're as big as her ovens.
Her story really flips the script, on that whole like lone entrepreneur myth. It's really all about those like unexpected support systems, the ones you can tap into.
Exactly. So picture this. It's Christmas morning, right? And Maria's opening up her bakery.
Panaderia Maria, it's called.
Right. It's this little neighborhood gem. But Maria, she's got her sights set on something way bigger. She
Yeah.
wants to, like, serve the whole city. Only problem is expansions, they don't exactly run on good vibes alone.
Nope, they definitely don't.
Enter, stage left, this, well, kind of mysterious feller who calls himself Mr. Grant Money.
Now, before you go writing this off as just some like holiday fairy tale, think about it for a sec. We often dismiss the most practical help simply because it just seems too good to be true, right?
Yeah, it's like our brains just can't even process it.
Exactly.
And Mr. Grant Money, he's all about practicality. Like, he starts by just assuring Maria that her dream, it's valid, which,
Mm-hmm.
honestly, sometimes that's half the battle right there.
Oh, absolutely. Just having someone acknowledge, like, hey, what you want, it's worthwhile. That's huge.
Huge. But then he takes it even a step further. He lays out these actual concrete grant options she could, actually go after.
And this is where it gets really interesting, especially if you're out there, trying to make your own dream happen. He doesn't just say, oh, grants exist. He breaks it down. Like local grants, the kind that are often overlooked, those come from city or community organizations, and they often want to support businesses, but the business has got to be making a positive impact.
Which makes sense when you think about it. If a business is actually doing good, the community wants to see them succeed.
Absolutely. It's like investing back into what's already working.
Right. But Mr. Grant Money, he doesn't stop there. He even mentions these grants that are specifically like designed for women entrepreneurs. I mean, talk about targeted
It's
resources.
like, we see you, we get it, and here's some help.
Exactly. And then he throws microloans into the mix too, which for anyone who might not be familiar they're these smaller loans, often less intimidating than those big traditional bank loans.
It's like he's handing Maria this whole funding toolkit, showing her, look, there isn't just one path, there are several here. Explore.
I love that. It's so encouraging. But it gets even better. He goes on to actually explain like how to make a grant application really stand out. He really emphasizes that storytelling aspect. It's about connecting with the committee like emotionally, not just, bombarding them with numbers.
And this is huge, E. I can't stress this enough. You can have the most amazing financials in the world, but if you can't explain why your bakery, why whatever you're doing matters to you and to the community, it falls flat. It's
Yeah.
got to be about Maria's story, her passion. That's what'll really resonate.
So true. It's that human connection, right?
Mhm.
But he even tells her to really get specific about like the positive impact, you know, like how many more locals could she hire? How many more families could she reach? Maybe even starting like a youth baking program or something.
See, that's what's smart. He's pushing her to think beyond just like her own personal gain. It's about the ripple effect, and that's key for any grant application. It's got to demonstrate how your success benefits, the wider community.
It's like win-win for everyone.
Yeah.
Now, here's where that whole community tie-in comes in. As Mr. Grant Money is laying all this out, Maria's Christmas morning customers, they start arriving. It's like this living, breathing testament to her existing support network.
Exactly. And Mr. Grant Money, he doesn't miss a beat. He points to all of them and he says, these people, they believe in you. A grant committee, they'd believe in you too. It's like he's literally connecting those dots between her existing support and the potential support waiting out there from those grant funders.
Genius, right?
Totally. And just like that, poof, Mr. Grant Money, he vanishes. He leaves Maria standing there just with her head full of ideas and a heart full of hope.
And this is what I find so fascinating. Whether this Mr. Grant Money is real or he's like a figment of Maria's imagination, it's almost beside the point.
Yeah.
What matters is that he embodies this truth. Support for dreamers, for people like Maria, is out there. It's about knowing where to look and just being brave enough to ask for it.
That really, really hits home for me. I've been thinking about,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I've been thinking about maybe trying to learn how to like do some pottery.
Cool.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe it's time to stop thinking and start doing right. There you go. But that's a discussion for later. First, let's break down these types of support Mr. Grant Money mentioned. Let's start with those often overlooked, local grants. What's important to remember is that these local grants, they come from organizations that are like deeply invested in their communities, you
Okay,
know?
so not like some big national foundation.
Right. Think more like neighborhood associations, city economic development programs even.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, even local businesses that, just want to give back.
So it's more about showing how your success, like, directly benefits your specific community, right?
Exactly. A bakery like Maria's. It's more than just, a place to buy bread. It's a gathering spot, it's a source of local jobs, a symbol of community like resilience. And those are powerful narratives, especially for a local grant committee.
They definitely are.
Mm.
Okay, so let's say Maria wants to, tap into some of these local grants. Where would she even begin? Like, where do you even look for those?
That's where it gets a little well, you got to do a little detective work, but it's easier than you might think.
Okay, good.
Start with your city's website. Seriously. A lot of cities, they actually have resources that are specifically for small businesses, and that includes like grant information.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, and then check out your local chamber of commerce. They're often plugged into a bunch of different funding opportunities.
And what about community organizations? Are there specific ones that Maria should be checking out?
Oh, absolutely. For Maria, since she's, a woman entrepreneur, organizations like the Women's Business Center can be like valuable, or even local chapters of groups like SCORE.
Score. Okay.
Yeah, and they offer not just, information on grants, but also mentorship, networking opportunities, the whole nine yards.
Wow. So it's not just about finding the money. It's like finding that support system too.
Exactly. It's the whole package. Now let's talk about another one of those funding avenues that Mr. Grant Money mentioned, microloans. What makes those unique is they're typically, smaller than those traditional bank loans.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and they often come with these more like flexible repayment terms,
So they might be a good option for someone like Maria who, maybe is a little intimidated by the idea of taking out this huge bank loan.
Exactly. Plus, a lot of these microloan providers, they focus on supporting specific demographics, like women-owned businesses or minority-owned businesses. Organizations like Kiva or Axion, those are great places to start researching.
This is already so much good information. So we've got local grants, we've got microloans, and then of course there are those, larger grants from like state or federal agencies. But let's be real, grant writing itself, it can feel like a whole like different language.
Oh yeah, for sure. It can be super daunting, especially if you've never done it before. But that's where Mr. Grant Money's emphasis on the storytelling aspect that becomes super crucial. Think of your grant application as a chance to like really connect with that committee on a human level.
Hmm.
Share your passion, share your struggles even, and how your dream aligns with, the funder's mission.
So less about spreadsheets, more about like a heart to heart.
Exactly. But don't get me wrong, numbers, they still matter, okay?
Right.
You need
Yeah.
you need a solid business plan, you need realistic financial projections, and you need a clear explanation of how those funds will be used.
Yeah.
But it's about weaving your personal narrative into that application. That's what really, really makes it stand out from the crowd.
Okay, so Maria's got like her funding toolkit now, right? She's putting together this killer grant application. But there's one piece of the puzzle we haven't talked about yet, and that's community support.
Yeah.
Mr. Grant Money pointed to her existing network of customers. But how can she like actually leverage that when she's applying for grants?
That's where testimonials can really, really shine. Imagine Maria includes like a few quotes from, some of her loyal customers just about how much the bakery means to them. Or letters of support from local community leaders who can like vouch for her character, vouch for her business. Those real life voices, they add weight to her application, and
Yeah.
they demonstrate the impact she's already making. It's tangible.
So it's about showcasing that her success isn't just, hypothetical. It's already happening, just
Yeah.
on a smaller scale.
Exactly. And that brings us back to a key theme of Maria's story, the ripple effect.
Mhm.
Mr. Grant Money, he encourages her to think beyond just, expanding her bakery. He wants her to see how her success can create this positive chain reaction in her community.
It's not just about her own like ambition. It's about lifting others along the way.
And that's such a powerful message for any entrepreneur, whether you're baking bread or building software or creating art. consider how your success can contribute to something bigger than yourself, you know?
It's funny. We started this whole thing talking about fairy grandmothers and magic dust and all that. But what's really magical here is that potential for positive change. And it exists within every dream.
And that potential, it's amplified when we embrace, the support that's available, both financially and emotionally, from local grants to microloans to, the unwavering belief of your community. There's a whole ecosystem out there ready to help you turn those dreams into reality.
And sometimes it just takes a little nudge, right?
Yeah.
From some maybe mysterious stranger,
Yeah.
real or imagined, just to remind us of all that. Speaking of nudges, I'm feeling pretty inspired to take some action on that powdery thing we talked about.
That's the spirit.
Yeah.
But before you get lost in your own dreams there, let's bring it back to our listeners. Maria's story, it might be fictional, but the lessons are very real. They really are. It's like we've covered so much ground today, right?
We really have.
From local grants to those microloans and the power of storytelling.
Oh,
Right?
we're right. But I think the biggest takeaway from Maria's whole encounter with this Mr. Grant money is that, well, sometimes the resources we need, they're way closer than we think they are.
Oh, 100%. We get so caught up, searching for those flashy solutions when really the most impactful support might be like literally right in our own backyard. Think about it. Maria's community, they already believe in her. Her customers, they're like living proof that her bakery brings, something special to their lives.
It's like that whole "it takes a village" saying. And I think sometimes, as entrepreneurs or just dreamers in general, we forget to even ask our village for help. Like, we try to go it alone when really there's this whole network of people out there rooting for us, ready to offer, a hand, a kind word, or even just like a connection to a potential funder.
And that's what Mr. Grant Money, in his own, kind of quirky way, is trying to show Maria. He's nudging her to recognize that abundance of support that's already there all around her. He's saying, like, look, these people, they believe in you, and you should too.
It's powerful.
Mhm.
And it goes beyond just, business stuff too. It's like whether you're trying to, I don't know, write a book or run a marathon, or even just like navigate a tough time, just remembering that you're not alone, that can make all the difference in the world.
Absolutely. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a challenge.
Yeah.
All right. Think about that one dream, the one you've been putting off, the one that feels, just a little bit out of reach.
We all have one of those.
Right. Now ask yourself, what's one small step you could take, like today, to move just a little bit closer to that dream?
Yeah. Maybe it's finally like registering for that online course you've been thinking about,
Yeah.
or reaching out to a potential mentor, or even just sharing your dream with someone you trust. It doesn't have to be a huge leap, right? Even just a tiny step in the right direction can create this whole momentum thing.
Exactly. And remember, like Maria, you don't have to do it alone. Look around. There's a whole community out there ready to cheer you on, offer support, and help you, make that dream a reality.
So go ahead, take that step. You might just be surprised by the magic you find along the way.
That's what it's all about. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. See you next time.